All right, today we're tackling something pretty huge. We're breaking down a fascinating and, frankly, a really provocative editorial that looks at a massive constitutional shift happening in Pakistan. It's asking a pretty bold question. Are we watching an indirect military coup unfold in real time? Let's get right into it.
Yeah, the editorial really doesn't pull any punches. It kicks off with this line right here. This sets a super critical tone from the get-go. It frames these constitutional changes not as some kind of normal political process, but as a deliberate takeover orchestrated by the military. So, what's behind such a dramatic claim?
To really get what's going on here, the editorial says you have to look at one person in particular, General Asim Munir. He's Pakistan's army chief, and the source basically positions him as the main architect of this entire power shift.
Now, this didn't just happen overnight. The editorial lays out a timeline of events that really set the stage. First, the biggest political challenger, Imran Khan, he's put in jail. Then, General Munir gets this rare promotion to the 5-star rank of Field Marshal, and it all leads up to November 13th with the passage of the 27th Amendment, which is the legal tool for the power grab we're talking about.
Okay, so that brings us to the heart of the matter. What exactly is in this amendment? What is it actually changing in Pakistan's constitution? This is where the details get really interesting.
So what is this thing, really? Well, at its core, the 27th Amendment is described as a tool that takes the military's long-standing, kind of informal power and makes it formal, constitutional law. It essentially hardwires the military's authority right into the structure of the state.
What this amendment does is basically create a whole new chain of command. There's a new top job, Chief of Defense Forces, and it's held by the Army Chief himself, General Munir. From this one position, he now has direct command over the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. Oh, and he also oversees the country's nuclear weapons. We're talking about an incredible amount of military power, all centralized in one single office.
And this might be the most jaw-dropping part of the whole thing. The amendment apparently grants lifelong immunity from criminal prosecution to any 5-star officer, which right now is only General Munir, and the president. They get to stay in uniform for life, and according to the source, the only way to remove them is through this really difficult impeachment-like process.
Okay, so we've seen what the amendment changes on paper, but what does this mean in the real world? Let's look at the impact these changes are having on Pakistan's other key institutions.
Just look at what this does to the judiciary. Before all this, you had the Supreme Court as the final word on the Constitution. Now, its authority is basically stripped away and handed over to a brand new constitutional court, and its judges are appointed by the government. The editorial points out this move was so controversial that several senior judges actually resigned in protest.
You see what's happening, right? This is a direct transfer of power. The independence and the authority that the judiciary loses, it doesn't just vanish into thin air. It effectively gets funneled over to the executive branch, and by extension, to the military that now has a constitutional grip on it.
So this is the landscape the editorial paints for us. You've got the Shehbaz Sharif government, which it portrays as basically going along with everything. You have the main opposition leader, Imran Khan, sitting in prison. And you have what's left of an independent judiciary trying to push back, but its power has been seriously clipped.
But here's the twist. The editorial's analysis doesn't stop with just what's happened. It ends with a really stark warning. This whole power grab is an extremely high-stakes gamble that could, and I'm quoting here, backfire.
And the timing for this, it couldn't be worse, according to the analysis. This isn't happening in some stable, quiet country. Pakistan is juggling a whole bunch of crises at once. There's an insurgency, tense relationships with India and Afghanistan, a really struggling economy, and you've still got political opposition protesting in the streets. Adding this huge constitutional crisis on top of all that creates what the editorial calls a pressure cooker.
And this is where a little bit of history comes in. The editorial includes this quote, which is a powerful reminder. It's basically saying that even though this move looks like it makes General Munir's position untouchable, Pakistan's own past shows that when power gets this concentrated, it often doesn't end well. And that leaves us with the final, really chilling question the editorial poses. It completely reframes the situation. The analysis suggests the real danger isn't if this gamble will fail, but when it will fail, and what the fallout will be for Pakistan when it does. A truly sobering thought to end on.